What's going on, guys? It's a Block Bull returning here with a brand new episode for the channel. Now, today we're going to look at the crypto market as a whole. We'll take a brief overview of the crypto bubbles as well, but certainly we will be visiting this Federal Reserve official website. Now, this article confirms that the ISO 222 will be implemented on July the 14th for the FEDwire fund service. So this is absolutely massive, guys. So this will be our next catalyst. If crypto is to go anywhere, guys, we need some sort of injection in capital, some sort of fundamental news that can come out and actually take this whole crypto space by the scruff of the neck and literally pull it out the dumps, because right now we are getting absolutely decimated. And you know what? There's not a lot we can do as retail traders besides position ourselves accordingly. And this is what we're all about on the channel. Make sure that we are positioned in the correct cryptos. So predominantly we are involved in a lot of ISO tokens. So you've got your trifecta, haven't you? You got your XDC, XLM, XRP. Then you got the sort of other coins as well. For example, like you got Stronghold and Velo, which are both built on Stellar, for example. Then you've got other sort of cryptos as well that are there or thereabouts in terms of the ISO standards, or seeking ISO certification. For example, like Onyx XCN coin, they've got massive adoption as well. So we'll take a look at the charts very, very soon. But like I say, we do have that confirmation as well. So this is positive news for the ISO tokens. We're talking about the big, large cap gems that are involved in the new quantum financial system. Okay, let's have a quick read through this very, very quickly, guys. I'm not going to bore you guys with any dialogue today. We will be over the charts in no time. So for the past several years, Federal Reserve Financial Services has worked with the industry to prepare for the upcoming ISO 222 implementation for the FEDwire fund service on the 14th of July of this year. Now, so we are literally 8 days away from the time of the recording, guys. I remember this thing was due to go live ages ago, but it's been postponed, and we see more delays after more delays. So this was actually meant to go live in March of this year. So this is the thing with ISO coins, and especially with the altcoin season as well. We have been suppressed massively. Now, sooner or later, the suppression will come to an end. And when that suppression comes, I do believe we're going to see a parabolic rise in events in terms of the crypto prices. Now, looking ahead, between now and the service close on July the 11th, ensure that you review all action items outlined in the curated preparedness checklist below that best applies to your institution. So I would imagine around this sort of time and dates on the 11th of July, we'll probably see a little bit of volatility in the markets, okay, before these fund services do go live in terms of the ISO standards, okay. So it's going to be absolutely massive, I would imagine. In terms of price action, it may not reflect what's actually going on behind the scenes. You know, that might take time to actually reflect our prices. But one thing is for certain: crypto, anyone involved in crypto, certainly anybody that's holding crypto on a ledger, whether it's exchange, it doesn't matter where you're holding the cryptos. I do believe crypto holders are going to be the sort of new 1%. And it's as simple as that, guys. You know, we will be moving over to digital assets sooner rather than later, in my opinion. Now, we're going to take a look at the FedWatch tool as well. Like I say, we will cover the crypto bubbles very, very shortly. And we'll also take a look at the charts as well. We'll flick through those as well. But certainly, these are the next Fed meetings. So these are pivotal. So again, interest rates, we're looking for the interest rate cut. Now, this is the next meeting. Next meeting there, target rate probabilities for the 30th of July. So this will be towards the end of this month, okay. We've got a 95% chance we're going to remain the same, okay. That's not exactly great for us, okay. We don't want things to remain the same. We want things to, you know, start working in our favor. So we'll go to the next date, and the next date is stipulating the 17th of September, which will be the sort of first Fed meeting where we do have a high probability. Certainly in terms of the statistical suggestion, there's a 66.2% chance that we will be looking at cutting rates. Not only that, we've got a 3.2% chance we will cut rates even further than just the generic sort of basis points that we do tend to cut rates by. Okay, so there we go. We got 17th of September. So that is a key date, and I would also be looking at anywhere between the sort of 11th to the 14th of July as well. So if nothing happens over the next couple of weeks with those sort of July dates, obviously we'll be looking at September. So we've got two sort of specific dates. Now, before we dive into the charts, let's just take a look at the weekly bubbles. Now, the obvious one that springs out here is Zbeck. So Zbeck's down 31%. So that's a heavy retracement. The last one of the previous videos, or certainly the last Zbeck video that I covered, I did mention that there was a possibility potentially that was forming a double bottom. Now, that double bottom did not form. It obviously continued to sort of break down and capitulate. So we'll take a look at Zbeck as well over in the charts. We've got Stronghold down 13.3%. We've got XCN down 7.5%. The rest of the cryptos are holding up fairly well. XRP, HBAR, XDC, certainly these ISO tokens now are holding up really well. VRA is down 2.6%. So we're not doing too bad, guys, okay, overall. It's just mainly Zbeck that's taken a massive hit. Now, as we move to the charts, let's just filter through here. So XDC, for me, one of the ISO 222 coins. This is performing really well now. So this is probably one of my favorite picks in the sort of crypto. So again, we'll just simply move sort of mark out highs here. So for me, this is sort of simple TA, and this is all you need in the markets. Yeah, you don't have to make these charts complex with all the oscillators, moving averages, MACDs, RSI indicators. It's some call for, in my view. Certainly, I'll be looking at the sort of interests where the demand and supply is coming in. So this is why I'm a massive fan of, kind of marking out the highs of where the supply is and where the demand is. You get to know where all the buyers and sellers are coming in. Right now, XDC is breaking out. So XDC for me is a massive pick right now. It is my number one pick for the whole of this cycle. So out of the three ISO coins, so I'm talking mainly XRP, XDC, XLM. XDC for me is my number one pick just because it's massively undervalued when it comes up against XRP. Okay, and you can see here we're breaking out. This is a clear breakout. So if we get a nice strong weekly close here and also a daily candle close above this red trend line, this is bullish stuff now for XDC. So I'd imagine some of these large cap ISO tokens do begin to run up until the sort of 11th, 14th, where we could see some parabolic events. We are moving into the money zone, the banana zone, as I like to call it, where we are going into a wave 3 of a macro Elliott wave theory, which I've covered in a previous video for you guys that are like, well, what's wave 3? And that is the wave 3 of Elliott wave. So you do a small wave 1, retrace into wave 2, and then the third is the largest wave in the whole process, okay, in that cycle. So this is what we're heading into now with XDC in particular. So this is massive now. It looks as if this is going to get started in the next sort of 8 days, I would imagine, leading up to the 14th of July. Massive, okay. So that's XDC. Sleep on XDC and that'll be the last thing you do, trust me. Let's have a quick look at XRP as well. XRP is looking to break this sort of red resistance here, so you can see where the area of supply and demand is coming in now. XRP isn't looking at closing just yet. This could change by the time this video goes out to the masses, especially once it's published over on YouTube. We could be looking at XRP sort of breaking out now, so I would like to start closing above sort of 130 mark. If we start closing above 130 mark for XRP, this could look very positive now for XRP, and then we could continue running up in the weeks to come. Okay, guys. Now, the first sort of target, we would be looking at getting up to these sort of previous highs up here back in sort of January. So XRP has got quite a bit to run up here. If we just go to these highs here, it's approximately 50% up to these highs, which is why I sort of favour XDC. So if we just go back to XDC very quickly, guys, this is looking brilliant, yeah. Well, if we go up to these highs here, look how much XDC's got to run up. That's 140%. So the gains in comparison between XDC and XRP, just to get to those recent sort of January highs, XDC has got much better gains to be had, in my opinion. Never financial advice. That is just my perspective. You guys are all adults. You guys do and make the decisions based upon how you feel. You know, some people are in love with XRP and they can't part with it. Do you know what I mean? Because they've held it for so long. That's fine. If you're an emotional trader, you go with that. You've obviously trusted XRP, and you guys have never done bad in the markets. Okay, you're all up, still surpassing sort of US election highs. Do you know what I mean? Well, I say US election highs, but a lot of these cryptos are actually down below where they was on the 5th of November, where XRP still holding above $2 strong, yeah. We're currently, where's XRP at the moment? $2.27. So, you know what? XRP is doing really well, held up really, really strongly. Let's take a look at Gala, guys. Gala is still in this macro. So the charts from a charting macro perspective on sort of multi-years, multi-months, multi-week timeframes are looking absolutely fantastic. And I know people can get disheartened because they're not seeing any price action from sort of day to day. And it's like, well, let's just give up on crypto. I have not given up on crypto. I've gone quiet over on X and over on YouTube because the views just aren't there. The masses, the retail have completely lost interest. Now, this is a good sign for the rest of the crypto holders that actually haven't given up. They're still hodling in silence, okay? And sometimes making no move is the best move. So that's what I'm doing. I'm positioned. I'm still in the market. I've got skin in the game, and I'm literally just waiting for these parabolic moves in terms of the dates that I've given to you guys earlier on in the video. One being the FEDwire going live on the 14th of July and also the 17th of September, when interest rates have over a 66% chance of cutting rates around the 17th of September. And that will then, you know, send the markets even higher, okay? So that's Gala. You can see here, very self-explanatory. We're at the bottom of this multi-year wedge. So I would expect similar, like XRP did around US elections. It ran up to the sort of previous all-time high, which is around here in terms of the Gala price action. So we're looking at approximately, I would say approximately a 57x for Gala to get up to these sort of all-time highs. This was set back in the previous cycle, actually, in November 2021. So some massive gains to be had with Gala. XDC and Gala, for me, are absolutely no-brainer, especially in terms of risk to reward as well. If you've got a lot of money, then Gala and XDC, for me, are probably your best two picks. Now, I like the likes of VRA as well. So a lot of people are a little bit concerned with Verasity. But similarly to sort of Gala, if you've got large amounts, I wouldn't recommend, you know, going heavy with VRA. However, I'm sort of, I won't say I'm emotional to it, but I do have a strong belief VRA can do massive numbers. And the reason being is because it's got really, really solid gains to be had. So again, we're near the end of this sort of precipice, this apex now. Now, VRA, despite the fact that it's got a really low market cap, it did move one of the sort of first movers along with sort of XRP and Stellar Lumens as well. Now, you wouldn't have thought that because historically in previous cycles, you'd get the large caps. So you get your Bitcoin, Ethereum, your large caps like XRP, Solana, etc. moving. Then you get your mid caps, then you get your low caps, then you get your micro caps. Okay, this has got I'm pretty sure it's still sort of 20 million market cap. So surprising for such a small coin with a market cap the size of Verasity that this moves as one of the first movers. So if we was to get up to here, look at this. If we round this up now, you're talking about 8,000% to get up to sort of previous all-time highs, which is like 80x. And XRP, once it brought this sort of symmetrical triangle on a multi-year time frame, it runs up within literally a month or two. It literally takes 4 to 8 weeks to run up. So you could have an 80x in space of 4 to 8 weeks is what I'm saying, when it does get moving. I don't know when it's going to get moving. The chances are, like I say, it's going to be at those 2 dates. That is my best guess at this moment in time in terms of when it will happen, okay? When it does happen, to me, it's not a matter of if. It's going to happen, yeah? It's just knowing when. You know, hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. Like I said, guys, we're looking at least an 80x, I would imagine, for Verasity. I do believe they will be burning the tokens. And when they announced that, it was probably halfway up to that sort of previous high. Yeah, so by the time they announce the burning tokens, we're probably up at there around sort of 1 cent 6, which is around the 14, 15x. Yeah, and then by that point, the opportunity is gone, because if you start measuring from this sort of previous high here, the 24 high, just to run up to there, then you can see the returns diminish massively. So you've gone from an 80x all the way down to around the 4 to 5x. So this is why it's so pivotal to actually invest early and actually ride out the fear and uncertainty in the markets. Because even in the Discord, I've been a little bit quiet in the Discord recently. There's still people that are a little bit dubious of Verasity, VRA, in terms of, are we actually going to see a return? Because right now, all this has been sort of negative price action, yeah? This has been a long ABC correction as far as us retail traders have been concerned. Oh, fuck off, mate. Right, so you got an ABC correction coming all the way down here. So the completion for me is almost over, yeah? This C wave could continue, yeah, up until I would say around September, that second date, if we don't see any movement along side those ISO tokens taking off at the time of FEDwire. So that for me, we're still looking pretty, guys, in terms of Verasity. We've got some other tokens as well. I think we're only going to have time for Zbeck and XCN. Okay, so in a previous video that I did, I was looking to hold. I'll tell you what I was looking at here. So this was a previous high here, which I marked out with a blue line. Previous all-time sort of close for Zbeck, okay? And we saw Zbeck coming down in price action in terms of this sort of bull flag. So by nature, I'm bullish. Now, what I was suggesting was a few days ago, I was suggesting there could possibly be a double bottom here. So this would be the first bottom, and then we was looking at a second bottom. Now, as you can see, Zbeck actually brought through the blue line, and we did capitulate. So this sort of second bottom would have confirmed the double bottom. That's actually broken away. So that's actually broken to the downside, and it's continued to build a bull flag now. Now, the thing is, people will say, well, how far is Zbeck going to sort of retrace? So you know how I was just on the daily time frame here where I draw this blue line in? It looks as if we're going down, and we've actually penetrated it on this sort of weekly candle now. So this blue line marks out this highest daily close, weekly close, sorry, here. Previously, before we did get that sort of penetration with this massive green candle. So right now, we've interacted with the sort of previous weekly highs. So for me, I believe the retest has already been complete now. So right now, in my opinion, would be a fantastic opportunity now to begin reaccumulating Zbeck. So if you're not in Zbeck, I would consider taking a bite of this cherry. Okay, so let's just delete this. Like I say, we're still in a bull flag. Yeah, this nice sort of wedge pattern going down here. This is done absolutely remarkable. So, yeah, I believe some good gains to be had with Zbeck. Now, a lot of people will be waiting for... I'm going to get onto XCN. But before I do so, let's just take a look at this pair here. This is XDC XRP. And I showed you guys earlier on in the video as well with the likes of sort of... Was it XDC was set to run up to about 140% to get to recent highs, to January highs. XRP only had around sort of 40-50%, if I'm not mistaken. So XDC, in my opinion, would be looking at running up to these sort of... Well, you can see here, I'm just going to lend this blue line here. So I would say there's not like a definitive line. Like I'd be looking at more like an order block up here. Yeah, so you got this sort of high here, and you got these highs up here. So I'd be looking at XDC to run up against XRP in this sort of zone. And look at that. You got around sort of 400% move just to get back to that order block. And I think this is what this pair will do. So for me, you could probably 5x your XRP holdings by just sort of rotating into XDC. Let XDC outperform XRP. And then you can rebalance the books and sort of split your XRP, XDC, split it however you want. But certainly, I do believe you could multiply your XRP very easily just by using XDC as an investment vehicle to actually do that. Okay. XCN, where are you now? So let's just have a look. Not actually spotted XCN. If I'm just being blind, here we go. So XCN, everyone's familiar with this pattern now that I've sort of discovered, a couple of, I don't know if it's a couple of months ago, certainly over a couple of weeks anyway, certainly from this sort of December high here. We've got the 24 high going in here around sort of 25th, 26th of January. Then we had a slow bleed. We had that pop with the rest of the market, and we continue to make this sort of symmetrical triangle. So you can see how close we are now. So again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, all I can say is we are close. Yeah, we've been saying this for weeks now. It's close, but you can see for yourself, guys. You tell me when it's going to break out, because certainly you know, people could argue that, you know, we could still have a couple more days out here. You know, we could stretch out to the sort of 11th of July, Friday the 11th of July. So you could still have another week's worth a sort of consolidation where we continue to sort of ping pong around. Again, this is exactly why I've been quiet in the markets, because I'm just waiting for these macro structures to break away. I'm positioned now. I ain't got any dry powder left to invest in. I believe in these assets. So for me, it's just a waiting game now. And once that wait is over, once we start seeing those parabolic moves, then I can begin covering these YouTube videos once again, where I'm doing daily videos, not just sporadically, because there's something to talk about. We've got the viewership coming in because they're all interested. Everybody's making money. Everybody's collecting cheddar. Everybody's happy. Everyone's engaging in the Discord. So it's just a case of sitting around, sitting on your hands. If you've got the money to afford to dollar cost average, you know, you're in a strong position right there, guys. Okay, I'm going to leave it there with you guys anyway. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to share, comment, subscribe if you're not already, and I shall see you guys in the next video. The block bull is over and out.